There is reportedly a good chance a top star will leave WWE. AEW talent are sad about a recent company departure, and a Raw star has been announced for tonight's SmackDown. Stay tuned for the news. Now, there's been a lot of talk about a specific superstar within WWE that may perhaps not have come to terms on a deal with the company. It's a bit of a surprising one, as I always think WWE would throw money at this person to keep them on the books because they were one of the top stars to carry the company through the pandemic era.
Absolutely. We're talking about Reggie.
We're talking about Reggie. We are. Where's he been?
Drew.
We're talking about
Big
Drew. Apparently, and this comes from the Wrestling Observer, Davey Meltzer himself, there is a good chance that Drew McIntyre will leave WWE. He says it's also very clear the company badly needs a main event heel, and now is the wrong time to turn Rhodes or Rollins, meaning it makes all the sense in the world to turn McIntyre, which I think is correct at that.
Agreed, he needs freshening up. A heel turn would do him wonders, I think.
Definitely. Meltzer goes on to say, but more, they need to elevate Reed, Priest, Balor, or Mysterio to that top heel level, because McIntyre right now is working with the idea there's a good chance he's finishing up. He could do a big program for the title as a challenger and finally leave.
So it sounds like that's in his mind, doesn't it? So he's working with the idea there's a good chance he's finishing up. He could do a big program for the title as a challenger and finally leave. So it really does sound like he's probably on his way out. I really do think they should be throwing money at Drew McIntyre. First of all, because he really did carry the company through the pandemic. He totally unprecedented times, and he made the very best out of a very bad situation, and actually did amazing work. And I feel a bit bad for Drew.
Me too. I think it would be a wasted opportunity not to have him come back. I think he's a phenomenal heel, and to see him now elevated to the status that he's at whilst he was the WWE champion, and how we see him now as like quite a huge star within WWE. I think it'd be silly not to turn him heel and have him like in that role
for sure.
With the status that he's at now. I think it'd do wonders for not only him but for like the people that he's in a feud with. I'd love to see something between him and Cody or like him and Rollins. I think there's a lot to be had there with Drew still being within the company and maybe going a different route with his character.
That's it. There's loads you can do. Like if he's on his way out, fair play. But actually, like if you revitalize Drew McIntyre with a heel turn, there are loads of programs you could see him in the long term. But it appears that maybe that might not be the case. I really do think they should hold on to him. I think it'd be a very, very big get. One would assume for AEW because he's going to be asking a pretty penny, but he's worth holding on to because he's a guy you can throw into the main event picture at any point. He's such a believable upper mid card at this point in his career anyway, that he could easily just go into a feud there for any of the big belts. I think they need to keep hold of him. He did mention later McIntyre will be out of action for a few more weeks. Nothing has changed regarding his contract situation. Obviously, he was drafted over to Raw. Loads of fresh feuds there for him to partake in, whether babyface or heel. But yeah, he should be coming back and he should be heel. And I really do hope they stick with him. I
hope so too. Maybe he squanders, maybe if he does come back, he squanders Seth Rollins' attempts at capturing the World Heavyweight Championship. Something like that.
Take it away from the
that would be so good.
Monumental. It would be good.
If they're kind of like trying to throw us off the scent maybe with this stuff as well, like having him come back and do that makes a huge impact then, doesn't it, as well? Which is great. Moving away from someone who may be leaving a company to someone who has left a company. Now, Leva Bates, we spoke about this earlier in the week. I believe it was myself and Tom. We talked about Leva Bates leaving the company. Now, Dave says that Leva Bates' contract expired and wasn't renewed. She had not been wrestling much, but had worked in a lot of capacities, including community relations, the AEW Heels group, did a lot of things backstage and worked in media and communications as a liaison. She had been one of the first female signings of the promotion, doing the love interest librarian deal with Peter Avalon. There was a number of people sad with this news as she was very well liked. And I think a lot of people online as well were singing her praises too. She's done plenty of incredible things. I think no matter where she goes next, she'll do great stuff because we know she loves doing the Twitch things. I believe she's a cosplayer and loves the games as well. So I feel like she's got a really a really bright career, even if it's not in wrestling.
Well, that's it. We didn't really see her in the ring that much, but I think she'd be a pretty valuable get for anybody, just because you never hear a bad word about her.
Nope.
Every bit of media that I've ever seen her feature in, it's really clear that her head's screwed on. She really does get it. And the fact that she was thrown at so many different things within AEW behind the scenes means that she's got this hugely adaptable skill set that she can bring anywhere. So yeah, she could go on and work for another major wrestling company, or she could just go and do any number of things because she's got the experience to do so. So good luck to her. She seems really lovely as well. She just genuinely seems like a good egg.
She's a Marvel Snap champion.
What?
Who would? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What? That's what I thought.
Snap in the card game.
Yeah, the card game thing. Yeah, and she's a champion.
That's her biggest. That's her biggest sort of pro. The biggest positive, I would say, being a Marvel Snap champion.
Exactly. I'm glad you agree, Adam. Yeah. I'm so glad you agree. We're sticking with the AEW side of things now, and AEW have plans for Kyle O'Reilly's return, and they've been revealed. This comes from also Ravy Davey Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. He says, he had been hurting, which is why he just returned last week. Although he was planned for some time to be arriving shortly after the return of Adam Cole.
Talking about Roddy there.
Roddy there, yeah, of course, who he'd be linked with. Now, Kyle O'Reilly will also be a part of the group, obviously, upon his return. No word of when that return would be, but he had neck fusion surgery. Almost nobody in WWE knew Strong's contract was up, even though it was long ago, and we were shocked when he was on the show. He was also kept hidden backstage, so the word wouldn't get out ahead of time. So it looks as though Kyle O'Reilly, I think, surprised that no one, will be headed. Dave Meltzer is going straight. Sorry, I'm sure he watches this. A surprise to no one that Kyle O'Reilly will be aligning himself with his busy mates.
But we don't know when. Some interesting notes there on Strong, the fact that he was hidden backstage, because it's in recent memory the first really, really big surprise, because generally just this stuff leaks out.
We don't get it very often.
Know it, or Dave will know it, or any of the lads at PW Insider will know it. This one, I just woke up the next day. It's like, Roddy's back.
Yeah, exactly.
No idea he's even gone from WWE.
I mean,
it's cool.
It is really cool. It's nice that, because sometimes when we get stuff like this, we see WWE be like, oh, good luck to this person and this person, and we kind of then foresee what is next for this person. I think especially with someone like Roddy Strong, when you've got Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole in AEW, it feels like it's just the natural fit for him afterwards.
It'd be daft not to.
Yeah, exactly. But for it not to, but for us not to know, and then all of a sudden it just happens on the show. It was like, oh, that's something very rare. We don't get that very often in wrestling anymore, do we?
Bobby Fish waiting by the telephone, making sure it's plugged in. It's still not going off. He's done.
I wonder if I think I've said this before on the news. I wonder if Kyle O'Reilly returns maybe towards when the Owen Hart Cup is taking place, because he got quite far in that last year, and I think he'd be a great fit back in there again. Get loads of hype back behind him too.
Whenever he's ready. Neck fusion surgery, it's a pretty big deal, isn't it? So I hope he's getting on all right. I bloody love Kyle O'Reilly. I think he's
great.
Class.
He's so funny, and
really
he's so good in the ring as well.
Even the cool Kyle stuff, I actually kind of liked. It was daft.
It was something different, and I think he played with it well for what he was given.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, talking about plans for one person, we're going to some scrap plans for a WWE NXT Superstar. So Sol Rucker underwent surgery this past week for her torn ACL. Now, before the injury, there was talk of making Rucker and Danny Palmer into major pushed babyface tag team in NXT. They were so high on them, there was talk of them getting the NXT tag belts within a few months, but that obviously isn't happening. Again, this comes from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. No surprise to me at all. I feel like Sol Rucker, a lot of people have been singing her praises too online.
She's very good.
Yeah, she's very good. You see a lot of clips of her on the internet, and people just being like, it's taken her barely any time to get to where she is now, and she's very, very talented, to say she's not really stepped in a ring before. So
crap timing, eh? Crap timing. So they wrote her off on TV with the NXT Anonymous thing, where she got beaten up in the office. I'm looking forward to seeing her back, because I think she has heaps of potential. I think the NXT Women's Tag Titles are in a bit of a state of flux at the moment. I have no idea what's going on there, and I guess we'll see. Will they be taken to Raw? Are they going to scrap the belt? belt? I have no idea. Unify them.
Yeah, I guess maybe it sounds as though the plan could have been for these to pick up the belts before obviously all this stuff has happened.
Sort of sounds like
it certainly does. Yeah, but we'll keep an eye on that one for sure. We hope Sol Rucker recovers very, very quickly. Moving on to the last story, Adam, of today. Probably if things don't. What was that? Probably if things don't break. Big things don't break. But we have Aurora. I'm done, Adam. What's going on?
Raw Star is going to be making his appearance on tonight's SmackDown. We will see the American Nightmare. He's landing in Puerto Rico, and he's going to be on the blue brand ahead of his match with Brock Lesnar tomorrow night at Backlash. But it's not just that, Andrew. What else is on SmackDown tonight?
My goodness, Bad Bunny journeys to SmackDown one day before WWE Backlash. We have the Viking Raiders taking on Gallows and Anderson. I'm happy to see them back on the screens because it's been a while.
Well, the Viking Raiders didn't look especially good.
No, they got squashed. I feel like that's happening quite frequently for the Viking Raiders, which I thought Trips might have been like, let's build them up to like War Machine level again.
I'm not saying Gallows and Anderson aren't, but they're a proper tag team, the Viking Raiders. They've been together like on the indies through NXT, WWE now for ages. You could have had some other team get squashed. Whatever. Good luck to them. Good luck to them.
And yeah, that's the one. Thank you very much for joining us in this third news video. Plenty of stuff going up over the weekend. It is Backlash weekend. Me and Adam will be doing our live reactions to the show. YouTube.com/live/Cultaholic, or is it the other way around? YouTube.com/Cultaholic/live.
Also, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Karrion Kross before Shinsuke goes tonight. So
that's exciting.
Stuff worth tuning in for ahead of Backlash.
Sure is. So thank you very much. Stay tuned, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully on the live reactions. But until then, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye.